If you are here because you have been Googling how to get my baby to sleep at 2 a.m., then you are in the right place. First of all, an introduction. I am Kath. I am a sleep nanny, and I have been a certified partner with the Sleep Nanny now for almost 3 years. I've helped thousands of families over the last sort of 5 years in total, with all sorts of ages and stages, always with a responsive and caring approach to supporting healthy sleep development for the whole family. Now, the methods that I use are always gentle, evidence-based, and no cry it out, and always tailored to each individual family's preferences, needs, etc., etc. No two families are the same, and no two babies are the same, so their sleep wouldn't be either. So, what I want to talk about today is how to get your baby to sleep. It is a $1 million question, and first of all, I think that it's really important to set some expectations around what we can expect from our children or our babies. Now, first of all, the term sleeping through the night is very ambiguous, and actually night wakings are totally normal at all ages, including adulthood. However, the reason that us as adults may not remember or wake up crying is because we have learnt that our environment is safe, we are aware of our surroundings, we know how to go back off to sleep without input. So we generally just toss and turn a little bit and then go back off into a new sleep cycle. We have been taught that, and our little ones may not have mastered that skill as of yet. That is to be expected. It is something that we can support them with some gradual and caring and responsive approaches to make sure that we can get everybody in a family that skill of being able to settle to sleep. So, first of all, the first thing that I want anybody to consider if you are struggling with your little baby waking more frequently than we would perhaps expect or like is timing. We want to avoid overtired or undertired children. You will hear an awful lot of talk about overtiredness, and for good reason. Quite often children who are struggling with their sleep have got some sort of sleep debt at play, or perhaps too much of a sleep pressure build-up, which leads to higher cortisol levels and issues with linking sleep cycles and more frequent night waking, also bedtime battles and early mornings. So while we want to obviously make sure that we are allowing for a good amount of nighttime sleep and we want to avoid those early mornings, a late night doesn't always mean that that's going to help your little one to stay in bed for longer. What we want to look at, especially for a baby, let's say under the age of 1, is how long they are capable to be awake for. Now, there are generalized wake windows that you can follow. You can ask me for my free chart, or you can easily Google that yourself as well. They are generalized, but they are a good starting point to figure out how long your little one should be able to manage, depending on their age. During that wake period, it's a really good idea to start observing them. Are they feeding in each of those wake windows, having a play, and then having some little bit of downtime before a sleep? Or are they sometimes awake for much longer, having multiple feeds? If they are still tiny, they may well be cluster feeding, which is not an issue. But we need to start sort of having a look. Are their wake windows appropriate for their age? Are they fairly consistent through the day, or are they completely random? Now, what I want to make sure that everyone understands is that if your little one is under the age of 4 months, then sleep is a little bit more haphazard. It is a little bit sporadic. Things can change day on day, hour on hour, and that is okay. I will have more videos to follow for newborn specifics, but what I'm talking about today is children who are at least 18 weeks plus, because they're developmentally ready for a little bit more structure and a little bit more predictability when it comes to their sleep. Now, if you are talking about a bedtime routine is a really good way to start avoiding that overtiredness. It should be able to be flexible enough timing wise, so it's not always at a rock solid certain time of day, because if your little one perhaps hasn't had the naps that you want, there is nothing wrong with bringing that bedtime routine forward. We just want to make sure that any bedtime routine is no more than 40 minutes, and that should include some sort of wash, some sort of milk, pajamas, and some connection time as well. Next, we want to look at the actual sort of parts of getting them into that bedtime routine. So they've come out of the bathroom, they've had a little wash, they've already had some milk potentially. So then we want to be looking at that sort of last 20 to 30 minutes before they go off to sleep. Now for some this will include milk, for some it may include a story, for some it may include a song, but what we want to do is make sure that we are doing the same steps in the same order every night. So if one night they have their pyjamas, then a story, then some milk, and the next night they have milk, then pyjamas, and a song, then it's going to send some mixed messages and your little one may be a little bit confused about what's to come. So really look at your bedtime routine, especially that last 20 to 30 minutes, and think, are we doing the same things in the same order every time? Because that is exactly how our little ones start to read the cues and understand, and actually can help the production of melatonin because their bodies know that sleep is coming. Next up, we want to check the environment. Is the environment dark? Are you using white noise, which is optional, but it can be a good aid for babies? Is the temperature consistent and comfortable? And is the sleep space safe? A really good idea is to check with the Lullaby Trust for their safe sleep guidance. They do wonderful work, and if you are interested, we also do a safe sleep course which raises money for the Lullaby Trust and work that they do as well. If you are struggling still, you've done all of these things, you've checked the environment, you know your little one's not overtired, you're using appropriate wake windows, you've got a consistent bedtime routine, but you are still struggling with your little one's sleep and maybe sporadic wake-ups or frequent wake-ups or split nights or anything like that, then what we need to start thinking about is, okay, it might be time for some changes and some support to build this independence. Quite often, if you have ruled out all of those other things, then what we're looking at is some sort of sleep crutch that we want to be able to start peeling away to build that independence. Something like feeding to sleep, rocking to sleep, stroking hair to sleep. There's many forms that this can take. And none of them are wrong, but we just need to recognise when an aid has become a crutch or an issue and tweak how that looks for your little one, and make sure that they are getting the support and reassurance, but slowly removing the crutch instead. So how do we do this? We want to plan for the night. You need to plan your response and make sure that it is consistent. Obviously, if your little one needs to be fed through the night, that takes priority. Yes, feed a hungry baby. But if your baby is waking every hour and is wanting to feed for 20 minutes and then takes another 20 minutes to go back off to sleep, we need to start thinking, do they really need that feed, or are they using it as an aid to get back off to sleep? They may well be, but this could sort of warrant a bit of a deeper dive and a call with a sleep professional to identify that. So keep your intentions solid and commit to a plan. You do not need to go from where your starting point is to your end goal straight away. Make gradual changes, giving you time to adjust and your little one time as well, without expecting too much from them. Change takes time, but what we want to do is leave our little ones feeling supported, feeling responded to, and feeling secure in their sleep space and with their attachments with you, which is obviously our priority. If you are struggling with timings, or you have illness or teething or reflux or anything like that, then you can always reach out for help and advice. If it is a medical concern, you can speak to your GP or your health visitor. But if it is something more about sort of like the questions around sleep, I'm not sure what my child should be getting, then please reach out. We are always more than happy to help and answer questions, whether that's just a quick email, or if you are interested in more support with one-to-one follow-up support, then you can obviously request a call with us as well. I hope everyone has found that helpful. There is always a way to get your babies to sleep, but let's get down to the root cause of what's causing those wake-ups first and go from there. I've been Kath the Sleep Nanny, and I hope to see you again soon.